distrustful they might be, no matter how much we may hate them, but they're still doing a very significant job keeping our country safe and people in check. You can just imagine a place where there are no traffic lights and there is a junction, or yes, and then vehicles are supposed to move. You see the kind of hold up that will build up there just because one traffic warden is not there. But when he's there, you may not see how important that person is. So bring that to NAFDAC now. If they down their tools in this indefinite strike, they're not saying the strike will be for 2 days or 1 week or something. It's an indefinite strike, which means it might take a long time, and we don't know what is going to happen in that sector just that time that they will be on strike. So I hope it never gets to a time where they will go on strike, and whatever they're raising as issues or as an issue will be addressed by the management. And if the management fails to do that, I'm sure there's a minister that is in charge, maybe a health minister or labor minister or whoever is supposed to hear the complaints of these people can step in and make sure that these issues are resolved. We don't want any sector of our economy to go on strike, especially not something as sensitive as health, because NAFDAC is part of health. NAFDAC is even part of security, you know. So let's do our best. Let's find that table wherever we broke it and threw away this table. Let's go get it and bring it back so that we can always meet at the table to discuss these issues. ASU is there spoiling for a fight over issues that came up since 2009. 2009 to 2019, that's 10 years, which means it's 15 years since agreements were reached and they have not been met. It is not good. And it's not the best for any government to come up and then begin to blame the previous governments. When you were taking the reins of power, you knew that this was going to be a problem. So as soon as you entered, it is either you called these people to the table to renegotiate and give timelines for these things to happen, or you just pay up or do the things that were asked of you as a government, not as an administration, a particular administration, because if you step into those shoes, nobody cares whether someone who was there was washing their feet or not. You are the one who was supposed to wear those shoes and feel comfortable in those shoes, or even if you don't feel comfortable, it's not our business, because you decided, you elected to wear those shoes. So NAFDAC management and everybody, please step in and make sure there's no strike in that sector. A final top trending issue here is very contentious because a lot of people have divergent views about it. Akwa Ibom State Governor Omoyeno has appointed his daughter Helen Eno Obareki as the acting First Lady of the state following the death of his wife, Pastor Patience Eno. The governor made the announcement on Friday during a condolence visit by Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, and other dignitaries in Uyo. Eno stated that his daughter would take on the duties of the First Lady, ensuring continuity of the office and the projects initiated by his late wife, particularly the Golden Initiative for All. He expressed his confidence in his daughter's ability to uphold the values and vision of her late mother, affirming his commitment to sustaining the projects initiated through the First Lady's office. In an emotional tribute, the governor described his late wife as his greatest supporter and toughest critic, recalling their lifelong bond. He emphasized that his late wife's absence is irreplaceable, and his focus remains on sustaining her legacy through the work of the First Lady's office. In most cases, when things happen in the political sector, I usually am, so against it and all that, but I don't really know what to say about this. I think from the bottom of my heart, I think I support this. Reasons are very simple. First of all, the office of the First Lady is not covered by law, so he's not breaking any law. And what do you expect? First Lady is First Lady. That office is just an office created because of the proximity of whoever is involved to the person at the seat of power. So if Omoyeno is the governor, the First Lady is just because he's related to the governor, not because the law allowed that. So whatever goes to that, and the wife has initiated some projects and she wants to do X, Y, Z, and she dies, it's nobody else's business to go and stay there and begin to do it. It's more or less like a family thing. And why am I in support? When the office of the First Lady started in the time of, I think, Babangida or so, that he's the one who made it very prominent. Miriam Babangida, First Lady, that's one of the most prominent First Ladies we've ever known in this country. So she created that office, more or less, and we allowed it to stay even without the constitutional backing till this moment. And then somebody is coming to say, my wife died. She had an office, not because the law allowed it, but because she was my wife. And then she has died. I'm going to put my daughter in charge of that office. And you're saying it's wrong. We allowed the office of the First Lady to stay in the first place, so we cannot cry foul over this. It is a family thing as far as I'm concerned. It is not a lawful thing. It's not a constitutional thing. So if one family member dies and another one steps into those shoes, I don't think he's breaking any law. You can't bring the deputy governor's wife to be the First Lady. I mean, you know, First Lady is supposed to say, my husband is doing this, or my dad is doing this, or something. He's supposed to represent the person of the governor as a family member, not as a constitutional office. So when the Second Lady goes there to sit, will she be sitting as the wife of the governor? And then who becomes the Second Lady of the country? So we move the secretary to the deputy governor to become the Second Lady, or how are we going to do that? So if we don't want things like this to happen, we should either make sure that office never exists anymore, or if it has to exist, let it be constitutional, and then we'll spell out eventualities like this. What if the First Lady dies? Who is supposed to step into those shoes? Will it be one of the children, or will it be the Second Lady that will step in? How will it be done? Or will it be the secretary in that office of the First Lady? We should spell out all these things, but otherwise, nobody has the moral right to say you should step down. It shouldn't be the daughter. Has it become a family business? Blah, blah, blah. If it is not a family business, what is it? Is it a constitutional office? No. Did all Nigerians come together to say the office of the First Lady should exist? No. Even the First Lady of the Federation is saying that there's no budget to her office, and so she's just doing these things because she's getting international connections and funding, and so she's doing all these things. So if she, God forbid, she dies now, or something takes her out of the scene, will you now say the Second Lady, as it is, will now go and take this office, which she is doing out of the goodness of her heart and getting funding to do all the things that she's doing? You might argue that the office of the First Lady is having some kind of budget going to that one, but we allowed the illegality to stay, so nobody can cry foul, because no law covers it. If the law has covered it, I don't know yet. Maybe that constitution is yet to come out. We're hearing that the constitution will be reviewed and all that. Put the office of the First Lady there. It has come to stay. Put the regional provisions there in that constitution. It has come to stay. In our constitution, I'm not sure we have north, south, 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 this, that. It was just created by words of mouth, and that's what we've been doing now. And we even see that every zone has a commission. South has a commission, and that is understandable. I don't know why we have other commissions, North-South, North-East, North-West, and all that. So what are the ministries doing if we have to have different commissions to develop these places? So there's no need for Ministry of Works, there's no need for Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, no need for a lot of all these ministries. If we can have the Ministry of Niger Delta Development, Ministry for South-South Development, Ministry for Southwest Development, let those ministries have the departments that are going to take care of all those things, because it doesn't make sense to me. But here we are. So office of the First Lady is not covered by law. It's a family thing. It is created for people who are related to the governor, and in most cases is the wife of the governor. When the wife of the former president Olusegun Obasanjo died, who took over the office of the First Lady? Was it the Second Lady? Was it Atiku's wife? It wasn't. So think back and know that this is something that you shouldn't cry over. It's unfortunate the governor had to lose his wife, and we pray for the repose of her soul. And whatever he decides for the office of the Second Lady, the First Lady, we support. Okay, I support. Not every Nigerian will support it. People are asking, is it a family business? Well, guess what it is, because it is not covered by law. They are there just because they are related to the governor. It's not the same thing as the president of Nigeria sending his children anyway to go and represent him as a president. It's not the same thing, so don't say it's the same. Okay, at least for me, it's not the same thing where a president is supposed to visit somewhere and he sends his sons when he could have sent his vice. There are provisions constitutionally for that. He could have sent his vice, he could have sent the secretary to the federation, they could have sent anybody in his office, a minister and all. May the soul of Mrs. Omoino rest in peace, and may God give the husband the fortitude to bear the loss, and may that daughter who is now feeling the shoes of the mom have the wherewithal to carry on the legacies of her mother as she should. Okay, that will be all rather from our top trending desk, and we're going to take a short break. When we return, we'll be reviewing the papers. Stay with us.
Welcome to Bayes University, Abuja, Nigeria, with a legacy of excellence and a vision for nurturing future leaders. Bayes University is in a league of its own. We're all about our people, processes, and technology.
Bayes is one of the highly rated universities in Nigeria in terms of product quality standards.
We don't just produce graduates, but groom people into employers of labor.
And it has made us understand that learning is all about three things. We learn, we unlearn, and we relearn.
Bayes University Hospital offers a range of specialized services equipped with the latest technology, manned by a team of trusted professionals. And now, our vision extends beyond our walls with the Baba Ahmed University in Kano following our lead. Join us at Bayes University and invest in your future today.
Bayes University is the institution where you will get the best value for money education in Nigeria.
Bayes University. Learn to live.
I will take you through this amazing lesson today.
Welcome to Cross Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Thanks for staying with us. It's time now to go to the press, see what the headlines are on some of our national dailies. And to discuss this with me is Professor Kamilu Sani Fage, Department of Political Science, Bayero University, Kano. He's our guest this morning. Good morning and welcome to the program, sir.
Good morning and thank you for having me.
Okay, we're beginning with the Business NG. And the leading headline here is frequent network breakdown affecting our business, bank customers lament. Last week we saw some banks, a few of them, their network was so bad for the entire week, and some of them didn't even have the courtesy to apologize to the people or explain to the people. Some of them now had this information go out a few hours into even the day, maybe on a Tuesday. They now sent information that the banks may not operate 2 hours to the time that they were supposed to go offline. And even then, this network issue had started on Monday, and Tuesday was a public holiday, I think. It has started on Monday, and they did not do anything about it. So customers are the ones complaining now, but I'd like you to speak to the fact that businesses are being affected by what these banks go through. Tentatively, that's what they say. They go through a lot of problems technically and because of the network and all that. So what was your experience like, first of all, when this happened? Did it affect you?
Yeah, I'm not a business person, but at least, a few things that one has to do because of this issue of cashless, policy. So we have to rely on the e-banking, and it didn't work then. So I think if I am affected in my own small way, I could imagine how businesses could be affected. So I think this is a very serious thing, especially given the fact that we are hell-bent on, having this cashless policy. And besides, there is no restitution. If somebody loses something, they do not even apologize. They don't do anything. Perhaps the only time that you see the banks hurry in notifying you is when they get tax on this, commission on that, and so on. But as far as other thing is concerned, is the usual thing that nobody will come and say this is it. They will not explain what happened. They will not even apologize. And so I think this is a bad thing for our own business.
We have all these stories as well on the Business NG. CBN injects 543.5 million naira, or dollars rather, to stabilize the naira. And then close to that, we have Nigeria's debt crisis worsens, 69% of total expenditure spent on loan repayments. I don't know if we can marry those two headlines together. Let's begin with stabilizing the naira and injecting so much dollars into the system.
Yeah, you see, I think in one of the papers, the central bank governor is saying that it's a good decision that they have taken to float the naira. But the fact is that we are an import consumer society. So floating the naira, this is what it will amount. We'll have to always inject money in order to stabilize it. And I think the reality is that the government has to look at this policy. Actually, it's the cause of the problem. By floating the naira, you don't expect to get anything positive out of that, to me, because, like I said, we are a consumer, economy. We are importer economy. If countries that are exporters, industrialized countries, float their currency, I think they don't need to, inject in order to stabilize it, because the market will determine these things, and there will be high demand for their goods and services. But here we are. We keep on trying to borrow things just because we are told to do so by the IMF and the World Bank. So we keep on doing it blindly. And here we are. After floating, after this thing, we have to come and stabilize and so on. So I think this is this should have been part of the feedback that will inform our policymakers to have a rethink that they are pursuing on the naira.
Yeah, I don't know, because this is one of maybe I didn't understand it well, but this was one of the crimes, in quote, of the former CBN governor, that he had no business trying to stabilize the Naira. He should have let it just flow and let market forces do their thing. So the new government came, floated the Naira, and that's what led to the spiraling of the Naira to heights that we did not even understand. Now they are also trying to stabilize the Naira, doing the same kind of things that the previous CBN governor did, and they say it was so bad. The Naira should have just been on its own, and then we could have been doing whatever else that we needed to do to make sure it is strong enough. I don't know why they're going back to these, or maybe I was the one who did not understand well. But our debt profile has worsened. Our debt crisis has worsened. 69% of total expenditure spent on loan repayment, according to this story. That's the second story that I read at the same time. So what do you think?
Yeah, that one too is a very bad omen for the country, where you have almost 70% of your expenditure on debt services. You know, you don't have capital for even, current project, let alone capital project. So these are the things that we are talking about, that the government should now look at these things, because actually there is no economy that can survive with such a huge amount, being spent on debt services, because you don't have money for, or you don't have capital for recurrent expenses, you don't have capital for capital expenses, so you'll be stagnating, and the economic crisis will worsen by the day, unless a serious decision is taken to address this situation. And part of the problem is we keep on borrowing, despite the huge amount that we are spending. You just hear over the news tomorrow there is a plan to borrow this, there is another plan. So the more you borrow, the more you now spend on debt services, and the more you go deeper into the debt crisis.
Yeah, so they're making it look like it's because of servicing this debt that the expenditure is getting to places that are not helping Nigerians. But no mention is made of people who are taking this money. You have voted maybe 100 million to pay a debt, and out of this 100 million that you have voted, there's other money that is not official that goes into the coffers of private individuals, maybe up to 300 million in the same instance, where you're paying. So you are telling us that, okay, the money, Nigeria's money is depleting because a lot of this money is going back into paying off debts. I don't know. Somehow I just feel that's a very cheap excuse to say that's why our debt is worsening, the crisis is worsening. I think, as a person, if corruption is clipped in the wing, maybe it wouldn't be this bad as it is now. That's just me thinking aloud.
No, yeah, it is true. You have to take double measures. One, you have to seriously cut corruption, and two, you have to seriously cut unnecessary expenditure. Everywhere in the world, when you have economic crisis, what you do is to cut the cost of governance, because by the time you keep on maintaining that issue of huge government expenses, you have to either borrow, you have to either increase the tax, or print more money. Whichever you do, it will add up to the economic crisis. So I think the government has to look at this, and that is what I was saying earlier on, that the government has to think this information, what we are having now, should have been a serious input into our policy making process. That look, there we are now spending almost 70% of our expenses on debt services. So how do we go from here? Then the thing is, we now face inflation, corruption, as you have rightly said, and we also cut the cost of governance. By the time we do these things, I think we'll see ourselves trying to stabilize the economy, because that is what has been the practice all over the world, and that is the simplest and cheapest economic solution to our own problem.
Okay, let's move to Nature News right now. Nature News has two headlines here. Flood wreaks havoc on Plateau, displaces over 80 households. And then on top of that, we have Sokoto government votes 33 billion naira for new dams to boost Fadama. Okay, we're talking dams. Dams for Fadama. Fadama is an agri project, I think. And then we're talking flood that's wreaking havoc somewhere else. So I just want us to marry the two together. Creating more dams, will it solve the problem of Nigeria? Will it solve the problems of flooding on the one hand, and also solve the problem of agriculture by irrigation farming on the other hand?
No, I think it wouldn't for the time being. You see, it's just part of the way to embezzle money. We have so many dams that are not properly maintained, so that is why we have flooding like what happened in Borno, Maiduguri. And beside their poor maintenance, they are not effectively being utilized. Sokoto has many dams that could have been, had it been they utilized them, I think it would be a good thing. Like here in Kano, we have over 20 dams that are not being used. All over the Federation, we have so many dams that are not being used, that are not being maintained. So creating more dams, I think, is creating more problem. Instead of putting such amount of money in creating new dams, I think they are better utilized in maintaining the ones that we have, so that we avoid the problem of flood, and then they are better utilized so that the dams are used for agriculture. Padama is a word, a Hausa word, which shows farming is not real farming, but it shows a wetland. That is what Padama is about. So it's a kind of irrigational project that they have to do. Like Baccalaureate, there are other dams are there in Sokoto, which I think if the government is serious on using Padama project, they should have resuscitate those dams and make sure that they are put into effective uses.
I think so too. Sometimes, like you said, maybe this is just a way of siphoning money, because maintenance of the existing dams is not being done. And it's just like, it reminds me of ASU, one of the cries of ASU, when the federal government is thinking about creating more universities, when the existing ones are not being maintained the way they should be maintained, the money is not being voted to these universities, and they're still creating other universities, and we wonder how that will work. But another headline here, still on Nature News, is federal government kicks as Osun government shuts down mining company. Obviously, the Osun state government knows the reason why this mining company needed to be shut down, because of various reasons. But now the federal government is not happy about that. So this brings back to the fore the discussions about the role that the state could play in this mining as well. Well, if it belongs to the federal government, what about the people who feel the impact of these mining activities and all that? So Osun State has taken this step. The federal government is kicking against it. But I'd like to hear your own take about this. What kind of power should the state government have over things that are being mined in their, or activities that happen in their states?
Yeah, you see, it's part of the negligence. Mining, all resources, mineral resources are controlled by the federal government. So where the federal government doesn't have any concrete policy on it, it is subject to abuse. And that is why the state government have to come in, because you allow illegal miners to continue their own activities there. So I think there has to be a clearly defined policy, like the way we have on petroleum. You see, nobody will go into, oil business, in Nigeria, because it is clearly a federal area. So the same thing with mineral resources. They are supposed to be federal government area, But the fact that there is no any policy on that, that is why state government try to fill in the vacuum. Because if they don't do that, what will happen is that illegal mining will thrive in their own state, and all the hazards that are associated with illegal mining. You see, if we now look at what is happening in Zapara, it's part of the problem. Because people are now coming, you even allow foreigners to come and do whatever they want to do, and nobody has, they put an eye on them. So I think there has to be a synergy between the federal government and the state government. If the state government wants to control the thing, or at least look after it, they should go through the federal government and get the approval so that whatever they do, it will not be a government committing illegalities, but it should be a thing that is properly approved now, and so that we avoid this jurisdictional conflict that we are seeing now between the federal government and the state government as to who owns what and why are we doing that. So I think there has to be a clearly defined policy in order to address the problem.
Yeah, because if what if the mines is bringing insecurity? What if the mines or the miners are leaving the laid down rules and doing what is very, very bad to the environment? They are not taking into consideration what is happening to the environment and all that, and it's affecting the state negatively. And the state is trying to get through to the federal government to do something, to take an action, because the federal government doesn't have a policy that will arrest the situation when it arises, and they're dragging their feet because they're still making money out of those mines and all that. Does the state government have the moral right to do the needful to protect its citizens and all that? Because these are questions that we should be asking ourselves. These people are on ground facing whatever they are facing, and the federal government is just collecting the money and giving back pittance to the state government. I wonder how long that will continue. I'm sure that's the reason why even we have a commission, Niger Delta Commission, because of these things, so that the people on ground can be seeing these things and reporting back and taking some necessary actions before the federal government steps in. But I don't know. Like you said, they should go through the legal channels and get approval and all that. But when the federal government is dragging their feet, I don't know whether I should support the governors to take the requisite action to halt a situation that could bring danger to the state and all. Well, we'll move now to Daily Trust newspaper. One headline in the Daily Trust newspaper, a small headline on the left corner there, is higher interest rate painful for borrowers but necessary to control inflation. That is according to the CBN. I don't know what they mean by that. It means that it is good for the country, but even though it's not good for the people. And I don't know who should come first, whether it is the people or it's the country. I thought the people make up the country, and whatever is good for the people will be good for the country. But I don't know. The explanation that the CBN has given is that it's good for the economy. It's good to stop inflation. And I don't know if actually that is the reason, or that is stopping inflation in the first place.
Yeah, you see what the central governor said is that higher interest rate will cut inflation because it will reduce the money circulation, and that is how it will reduce it. But I think the policies are more, negative than positive, because the more you have higher interest rate, the more, industrialists and, business people will not borrow money and inject it into production. And the more now you close more industries, and, there will be unemployment. And then when you have unemployment, there is no production, a state of denial. We have tried a policy and it doesn't work. The right thing is, in any public policy, is for you now to use the facts on ground as feedback so that you adjust. By the time you keep on denying what is happening, you'll be going deeper into the crisis. Like what is happening now, we have been trying this higher interest rate, virtually any time the policy makers meet, they will increase it, hoping that by increasing it, they will reduce inflation. But they are seeing the reverse of what they are saying, that, like I said, people don't borrow, and then industries don't have the capital to do, and now you have in play, a closure of industries, and now inflation will increase, unemployment increases. So I think the government should not see its own interests as different from that of the people. After all, people are the government. We are not even under military. The people are the government, not the other way around. So I think the policymakers have to be realistic. They have to see the situation that inflation is unimaginable. You cannot imagine the rate of inflation. The reason why they don't see the inflation is because it is, a kind of aggregate. You take things and now average and say, like the way you do per capita, you take everybody and divide by the number of people. So that is what is happening. But actually, inflation is actually a part of the problem that is affecting the society, and in fact, it is a part of the reasons why we have hunger and poverty so prevalent in Nigeria now.
Okay, let's take maybe a final story from the Punch newspaper. Naira for crude, 3 refineries plan PMS production. Dangote awaits NNPC supply. Remember that the Minister of Finance has said that the Naira for crude has begun since October 1, even though we still had reports that they think the project or the program has not begun. But now they're saying that it had begun since the 1st of October 2024. We thank God for that if truly it has happened, because sometimes pronouncements are made and people who are concerned come out to say it is a lie, it has not started. In this report, Naira for crude, 3 refineries plan PMS production, which I think is a good thing if that is it. But Dangote awaits NNPC supply is another part of that headline, which means even if it has started, the supply has not been done. Maybe it has been paid for, but the supply has not been done. So it's as good as not happening yet. But I'd like you to speak to the fact that this is happening at this time and what you think the impact would be on the Nigerian economy.
You see, if under normal circumstances, if we have Naira for crude and then the refineries take off, ideally, we are going to see the cost of oil come down, because so many things that are associated with the cost of oil in Nigeria will be cut down, like issue of transportation, issue of storage, issue of insurance, and so many things that are, accompanying, importation of oil. The other thing is, if you make it in Naira, it will not be subject to that volatile, Naira exchange. Ideally, all these things will bring down the cost of fuel in Nigeria. But this is not what we are going to see. Because already, if you look at all the politics around the issue of Dangote and other things, the government, despite, NNPC, despite all these things that ideally could have bring the cost of petroleum, they refuse to. They are putting this in, they are the major takers of it. Off-takers, and they determine the thing, so they don't allow the market to determine, they don't allow anything. So I think we are not likely going to see any drastic fall in the cost of petroleum. Perhaps there will be a little bit stabilizing, coming down of the cost, but not so seriously, because the whole calculation of the oil is with international market, and the international market is in dollar. So they will now count how much it is going to be in dollar. Even if we don't import oil, they will do that one, and Nigerians will not see the change.
Okay, well, let's hope that we will prove you wrong and we will see a change, and the fuel price will come so low that we will get back to maybe 100 naira per liter of fuel. Right now we're seeing CNG, and we have like 50 CNG stations servicing 200 million people in Nigeria. That's even one of the headlines and all that. And we don't know how we're going to survive in this. Even those that are able to get this CNG because their buses have converted are still charging the same fee as the people who are using petrol. So it's one and the same thing. But this is where we have to drop it this morning. We'd like to thank you, Professor, for coming on the program.
I'm not praying for that, but I would want oil to come down because living standard will come down. But that is the logical explanation of how things are in Nigeria. Because the people who care about it, who benefit from it, they don't want it to be that cheap.
Well, you see. Okay, well, thank you so much, Professor, for coming on the program this morning. Have a lovely day.
Thank you very much for having me.
We've been talking to Professor Kamilu Sani Fage of the Department of Political Science, Bayero University, Kano. We were reviewing the papers, looking at the headlines that made it to the front pages of some of our national dailies. We're now going to take a break, and when we return, we'll be talking Rivers State and the political turmoil therein.
An African girl somewhere is sitting at home, accompanied by dreams that seem so far away. Africa is one of the continents with the highest out-of-school percentage in education, and girls are at an early disadvantage. The sub-Saharan Africa records about 18 million out-of-school girls. This gender gap extends to the tech space with a projection of only a 33% global female workforce representation in tech firms for 2022. Let us help change the stories and numbers. Africa Agility's Project Train a Girl campaign is working to help train African girls in tech. You can donate as little as $2 or 2,000 naira to help a girl in tech get her heels in the door. Visit www.africaagility.rallyup.com/PTAG to donate.
The pandemic opened the world to a new dispensation regarding work. How people work and the career paths they take differ from generation to generation. There are 5 generations present in the modern workplace, each with unique expectations and perspectives. A person's career path is described as the work they do and the roles they hold as they climb up the ladder. Before the millennium, career paths for many was simply linear, which could be a person working at the same organization and growing there till they retired, or a person working in the same role but changing jobs a couple of times. Security and staying power were the cornerstone of this career path. However, with modern technology, a person's career path can be as multifaceted and versatile as the individual wishes. Millennials now work multiple roles in their career trajectories, pursue numerous passions that are sometimes interwoven, and work at different roles in their journeys. Baby boomers and Generation X only considered a job good if it gave them the security to work there till they retire. But for millennials and Gen Z, the workplace has changed and so has the career structure. Millennials often change their career paths or juggle multiple interests simultaneously. Being able to move from one job to another might signal a person's employability and adaptability. Baby boomers tend to believe that working long hours is what defines success and value face-to-face interactions with co-workers. In contrast, millennials believe that innovation and flexibility are key ingredients for success at work. The shift in occupational structures, for example, the increasing gig economy, is leading to polarization in employment, wages, and inequalities. From remote work policies to virtual leadership, the pandemic changed how we work. The opportunity to telework increased for some, such as knowledge workers, but not for frontline workers. Among the benefits are an improved work-life balance for some, as well as changed attitudes to well-being. Teleworking can lead to a higher productivity and lower operating costs for companies. Work is increasingly flexible and decentralized. Working from home or out of a workspace is favored by many because of the flexibility that comes with it. Millennials and Gen Zs prefer flexible work schedules and part-time hours so that they can balance their work and life compared to older generations who prefer security.
Some people are social people. When they go to the office, they have friends everywhere. Good morning. How was the football match? You just with your colleagues and stuff like that. That social element at work, a lot of people need it. Me personally, I'm an extrovert, but I'm also high on the introverted side. I like going to parties, I like making friends, but I also like keeping to myself. So at work, I'm not the friendliest. I would smile, I would say hi, but I don't need to. So it depends on your personality and what you need. For me, work from home works a lot for me because I get to spend time with my family. I'm always in the house with my partner, and that really makes me happy.
has the right of way? Nigerian roads come with a lot of chaos. The chaos is caused by a combination of drivers, motorcycle and tricycle riders, pedestrians, and sellers who all claim the right of way. The chain of right-of-way holders in Nigeria is hierarchical, and car and motor drivers are at the top of the chain with pedestrians at the bottom. Car or motor drivers believe that they always have the right of way regardless, and motorcycle and tricycle riders don't even have any regard for who has the right of way. For fear of accidents and their lives, pedestrians have learned to cower. When a collision occurs, the question of who has the right of way is on the lip of all concerned as they try to figure out who is guilty. The law doesn't grant anyone the right of way, but you yield it to other road users under these circumstances. At a yield sign, to pedestrians in a crosswalk, to persons using a seeing eye guide dog, to persons using a white cane with or without a red tape, at T intersections where you must yield to vehicles on the through road, at uncontrolled intersections where vehicles are already in the intersection, when driving on an unpaved road that intersects with a paved road, when returning to the roadway after a car is parked. Pedestrians must always be yielded the right of way at intersections and crosswalks. Treat bicycles as motor vehicles. Yield to bicyclists in all situations where you would yield to a car. For example, wait for an oncoming bicycle to pass before turning left. Turn right.
Thanks for staying with us. It's now time to move to Rivers State, as it were. The politics there. We're going to review local government election, and we have the information that the Rivers State local government elections on October 5, 2024, that was 2 days ago, were marred by violence with explosions and gunfire in Port Harcourt, particularly targeting the APC secretariat and the Obio Akpo local government area. Despite the chaos, the Action People's Party, APP, won 22 out of 23 chairmanship seats. Allegations of bias and efforts to disrupt the election were rampant. Governor Siminalayi Fubara also raised alarms about potential violence planned at local government headquarters, calling on security agencies to ensure calm. The police have launched investigation into the matter.
Coupled with what Mr. Chairman has just declared, there is no gain stressing the fact that this election conducted today is transparent and is credible. This result resonates the decision of the electorate in Rivers State to affirm their democratic rights. And it goes to say that democracy has come to stay.
The local government elections, a number of us were in the field. We also had our members in the field, and we received reports from them accordingly. And of course, the general view is, from our observation, that the election was largely peaceful. People came out to vote, and we can indeed say that there truly was an electoral exercise in Rivers State.
Okay, those were some snippets from what happened after the election in Rivers State. I'm shocked that not many newspapers carried this. In fact, all the newspapers that we looked at this morning, only the Punch newspaper carried something about the election in Rivers State. I thought it would flood the newspapers this morning, but that was I was disappointed, as it were. Well, to discuss this with me, I have Wisdom Chap Jumbo, a public affairs analyst. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Thank you once again. Good morning.
I'm trying to make sense out of all that is happening in Rivers State. Thank God you are the chap with the jumbo-sized wisdom. You are going to talk to us. Sorry, I had to do that. I like the way that name is. Okay, so help us make sense of it. Election in Rivers State has been held, whether we like it or not. But that is not the issue. The issue is, just your takeaways, first of all.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, the election held on the 5th of October. Either way, the governor insisted it was going to happen against the law or not, or whatever court judgment or not. And the election held across 23 local governments in Rivers State. We understand that the 22 LGAs were won by the APP,
yeah.
And one of the LGAs, which is Iche local government, was won by Action Alliance, that's AA party. And swiftly, the governor has sworn them in yesterday, and then
sorry.
And then we want to see how that will play out.
Okay, well, but a lot of experts have said that courts, quoting them directly, cannot stop election. They should not stop election. It is within the law to conduct the elections, and that's what the Constitution stipulates and all that, and the election has been held. The courts cannot rule against it. But I'm just curious. Action Alliance and then APP just sweeping everything. I understand that PDP didn't participate, so that's understandable. The ruling party did not participate. And the second best thing in Rivers State is APC, and this one has a lot of factions, and more or less they did not participate, even though they were there on the ballot and all that. So I don't know what do you feel about the winning? Does it give the election the credibility that it was free and fair? That's why a small party won. Or what do you think about what really played out?
I like that you mentioned credibility. And that's what we need to focus on. Was this election credible? Was it in compliance with the order? I think it's where many Nigerians are not, focusing on the lot. That's where the problem is. So first of all, there was a court mandatory injunction that the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission must hold an election, for the local government. That's fine. That was an interim injunction. But we had a case that was ongoing at the Federal High Court as far back as July the 2nd, to be precise. There was first an interim order, and then all parties came to court and they placed their cases, and then the court reserved judgment for a date. And on September 30th, the Federal High Court in Abuja, passed this judgment. And that judgment stated clearly, and what are the issues we are not looking at? I wish this was indeed a credible election. What the outcome of what we have seen would have really been worth celebrating. But of course, we don't see, the credibility in this. First of all, what are the issues? The issues first was RISEC, which is the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission, was not in compliance with the process according to Electoral Act, to get the voters register. First of all, according to what the judge said in the judgment, he said they are supposed to get, updates and stop voters registration for Rivers State 90 days before the scheduled date of the conduct of the election. That wasn't done. INEC has also come out to say, look, they applied twice for this, but we had an interim order or an order of court that stopped us from releasing this to RISEC. And so, according to the Electoral Act, INEC is supposed to, for a state that wants to conduct an election, you announce, all parties will inform voters' education, inform the people. Those that have been above 18, after the general election, will have a window to register, and then the voters' register is updated, and then it is stopped, and then it is presented, certified copy to the State Electoral Commission to conduct the election. If me and you can just download any document online and use for an election, everybody will be conducting the election. But the law says INEC must provide the certified copy of that updated register to any state that wants to conduct an election. And Rivers State is not peculiar in this matter. So let us not be looking at Rivers State in a way. In Kwara, the local government election also, the Federal High Court also barred INEC from providing the voters register, to the Kwara. And that case was taken to court by the PDP. The one in Rivers was taken to court by the APC. So these issues are not peculiar to Rivers State. It's just that we are not trying to be in compliance with the law. So the issue before us now in Rivers State is that the RISEC is breaking the law, or is not in compliance with the law, Electoral Act, Section 9, Section 28, Section 29, and Section 108. All of
Okay,
this,
my concern now is,
yes.
it seems everybody's just breaking the law. If I may ask,
Yes.
what jurisdiction does a federal high court have in state matters over a state high court?
Fantastic. This has been an argument in every quarters. Number one, INEC is a federal agency. And it's a defendant, in this matter. The police is a federal, RISEC is a state agency. But you know, INEC as a federal agency will provide the voters register to RISEC. Police is a federal agency. The DSS is a federal agency. They will all provide security for this election. If you need to challenge a federal agency in court, you have to go to the federal high court. That is the jurisdiction. So that is the bottom of the matter here. It's not, oh, does the federal high court have jurisdiction to hear the matter? Even the injunction they got at the Rivers State, the police was not a party to that case, and the DS was not a party to that case. It was the APP, you know, which was the plaintiff, and the defendant was RISEC and the Rivers State government. And it's an interim injunction. Interim injunctions have a lifespan. They are not a substantive judgment of court. It's what we're not paying attention here. But the elections I've had, I think Rivers State will be a test of true local government autonomy when we begin to hear these cases in court. And some of us want to see how the court will play this out, really. Against court orders, the elections I've had, what is going to happen next is what we really want to look at now. So
against court orders, you know, for the layman, it's
and they've
really
appealed the case. So you know, they've appealed the case at the Federal High Court. So we want to look. We hear first of all that their stay of execution was rejected. We've not seen a confirmation to that. But we saw a last-minute note from their lawyers that they've written to the appeal court to appeal the case. And we want all facts to come to the court. You see, we are not in a banana republic. And here we are guided by the rule of law.
Maybe it should leave the high courts to Supreme Court or something, appeal court or something.
Now, so
yeah, so
the high court,
because there's a high court, there's a high court that give one judgment. Yes. There's another high court, whether it's federal or state, that give us still another judgment. Yes. And what we have seen from what has always been happening is that everybody goes to the court that favors them. So now, even whatever the law might say, some people are still looking at it as, okay, those people who knew that when they get to Abuja, it will favor them, went to Abuja. Those who wanted to stay back home stayed. NJC and all the people who are involved also are talking about the fact that some judges are giving judgments that they should not give. So like you said, it's going to be very interesting. Let's look at how it's going to be.
Let's leave the NJC to handle, you know, any judge, its processes, or had given a wrong judgment. We'll leave that matter for the NJC to settle when it is right.
But their wrong judgments are affecting us as people.
Well, that is not for me and you that, you know, outside of the court. Now what we are saying now is, like the legal practitioners will say, whether a judgment is right or wrong, you first obey, and then you go on appeal if you don't like it. So the point we are now trying to make further is what will be the consequences, you know, for not obeying a court judgment of this man. The chair of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission is chaired by a retired judge. So we really want to see how all of this will play out. Rivers State will be the test of our true provisions of the law. Anybody that wins at the end of the day, whatever the outcome of it, I mean, the rest of us will make peace with it. The court has spoken. But I want to refer you now to the order 7 of the judgment of the Federal High Court, which we want to see how that will play out in the appeal court at the end of the day. He said, an order is hereby made, setting aside all acts or things done or purported to have been done by the first to the 5th defendant in furtherance of the conduct of the purported local government elections in Rivers State, stated for 5th of October, until the mandatory provisions of the law are complied with by the second defendant. The second defendant here is RISEC, which is the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission. So you see, this is what the Order 7 clearly stated. But against this, the election still held. We want to see what the consequences will be, and let us, exhaust all line, of our court processes to really challenge this matter. And mind you, so you know, the Supreme Court judgment that was being referred to all the time in this matter was passed in the 11th of July. That judgment also laid to rest all of the issues around local government and all of that. There was one particular case. The tenure of the previous local government chairman expired in Rivers State 17th of July this year. The governor was sworn in 29th of May 2023. He had between then and June to plan for an election for the local government. He didn't, for political reasons best known to him. Now, on the wisdom of the state...
Almost all of them did that. They just...
Good. On the wisdom of the Rivers State House of Assembly, led by Martins Amewole, they amended the law.
Which is still a problem as well.
We'll come to that. They amended the law, the Rivers Electoral Law and the Rivers Local Government Law, to say, look, in event of no election, or election has not been held, and this was in January this year, we are extending the tenure of the local government chairman by 6 months to give room for that election to happen. The Supreme Court judgment came and said, look, they are in their rights to extend the tenure of the local government chairman. Just like the National Assembly, in the event that an election cannot be held in the country, the National Assembly can extend the tenure of the president and the governors, because of that. And that was laid to rest. But still, that was not honored. But today, we're arguing that...
The problem here is that this is Rivers State that has two heads, as far as we know. There is a sitting governor, and there is a governor that is not sitting. That's in Rivers. There's a governor that is not sitting. That's in Rivers. Yes, whether we like it, whether we happening in Rivers State. Okay, you want to hear from me. In Rivers State, one loyal to the governor who is sitting, and the other one loyal to the governor who is not sitting. Yes, there are judgments that we are looking at. One in favor of the government which is sitting, one it is in favor of the government that is not sitting. That is how it is seen. It may not be what is right, but that is
that judgment. There is no other.
There is a judgment that the Rivers State government is hanging on, which may not be right, but they have their judgment that they are using to justify their actions.
No, they don't have any judgment. They've lost every single case on that matter referred to the State Assembly. I will refer you now to the judgment of Justice Omotosho of the Federal High Court Abuja in January that laid to rest all of the issues of the State Assembly. That matter is still there. They've not even appealed it. They begin to create all other cases, matters in court, which they won't still not won. Now, what is the issue? We presented a budget. They presented a budget to a 4-man assembly in December, specifically on the 13th of December 2023. And Justice Omotosho, in his judgment, laid to rest that issue in a judgment after hearing all the cases. Number one was that he affirmed who was the rightful speaker of the assembly, which is Martins Amewole. He also went on in that judgment to clarify and state clearly that the budget presented to those 4 men is null and void, and the governor should represent the budget to the properly constituted assembly by Martins Amewole. We can argue this, and there are many arguments in court ongoing. No other judgment has been passed, which have argued that Section 109 is what they are hinging on, subsection 2. Section 109 of the Constitution, 1G, that says if you defect another party, your seat is vacant. But we don't go further to read the next section, which is cause where the argument has been that somebody will, effect the provisions of that first section. And they were provisos to say, look, in the event that your party joins together to form a coalition of one party, your seats remain. But the next section also went further to say, look, only the speaker can give effect to say, look, wisdom as member of assembly, you have lost your seats in effect of your, you have moved to the next party. It's not those outside the assembly that can do that. All of this, we are leaving to the courts to decide.
You see what is happening.
My point I want you to get now, analyzing all of this is, where does the rule of law lies in all of this? Should we continue to allow? We need to be able to challenge some of these things in court. And then when the court passes judgment, please can we all obey it? Otherwise, we are calling for anarchy.
Exactly. So right now, like I was saying,
yes,
no matter what we see, it depends on where you're standing. The people who are standing on this part of the divide believe what they believe, and the other people believe what they believe. And that's because there's been precedents where people just do not obey court orders, and they get away with it. So it's going to be interesting times. Let's see how it plays out. Like you said, the RISEC boss is a retired judge, which means he knows what he is doing.
I hope he does.
He knows what he's doing.
I hope he does.
Just like the Supreme Court justices knew what they were doing in the previous election, the 2023 election, and talked 5-hour judgment, and then we still didn't see what it did.
I'll tell you what my worry is. In all of this, my worry is what is really going to happen, to our local governments in Rivers State at the end of the day. Other states have done local government elections. Whether or not they're in conformity, with the laws also, we'll leave that until they are all challenged. But what we need to project here, which is the focus, is the 7 Nigeria. Yes, I understand now we want to make them active, we want to make them work as they should by the Constitution, but we need to be very careful, in setting wrong precedents. And I hope the federal government, and Serap has written to the president on this particular subject to say, look, only focus on states that held credible local government elections. Affirms what is credible here is when we check the relevant laws guiding local government elections in your state and the Electoral Act 2022, are you in conformity with this? If it is yes, then we'll move on. If it is no, let's allow the courts to decide. Because if we don't do this, what we are doing is just setting ourselves up for the wrong precedent, and the issues we have had in state governments across the country will begin to trickle down to the local government. And I hope at this juncture, the National Assembly will speed up its process to create an independent institution that will handle elections so that there will be some form of uniformity indeed across the 774 local governments. Because if that was in place, what we have seen play out in Rivers State now wouldn't have been the case. What we'll see playing out in Kwara, because like I said, this is not peculiar to Rivers State. In Kwara, there's an existing court order also restraining INEC from giving the voters register to the Independent Electoral Commission in that state. And that case was taken to court by the People's Democratic Party. So we need to be very careful in all of this. The local government chairman sworn in yesterday by Governor Simeola Efubara, they are going to resume office today, as they have said. But that shouldn't stop the court cases to go to court. Let us test it to the last. And if at the end of the day, if what they have done on the 5th of October is right, we'll all come together to congratulate them and support them in the local government.
It's going to be a very long walk for us. Not just start from Rivers. There's a backlog we need to clear.
Yes.
Because remember, before the 2023 election or after the 2023 election, the in thing was go to court. And every Nigerian began to see the courts as a place where they already have confidence, judgment, and all that. So the rot has to be cleaned from a lot of other places before it can get to this. But let's see how it goes. In the coming days, we'll see what a retired judge had in mind before he did what he did, and what the other sitting justices had in mind before they passed the kind of judgments that is now giving Fubara the confidence that after all it has happened before, and I will not be the first person.
But let me end by saying we want to respect the rule of law, and let us do that in its entirety. And as we work to empower
you are talking to us, you're not talking to the political class, because they are the ones that do not obey the law.
Yes, and I'm saying this to all of them. And why we want the 774 local government to indeed work, which some of us are happy, we've been campaigning for this for a long time. We hope to see them work in the right way. And now, some of us will now focus on the local government to checkmate them a lot in their activities. There's been a lot of corruption hidden under the carpet in the local government. And now it's this conversion. The EFCC, the ICPC should indeed put their spotlights now on the local government. They also have fat budget too. My local government, the budget for my local government is more than 4 billion. So that's a lot of money. So we want to see them work, and the allocation that is will be coming to them by the end of the month, the ones that have done credible elections, we want to see them put them to good use.
Okay, I do hope that it will open another conversation about whether or not INEC should take over the state elections, as some people are proposing. Then we'll see how we can fine-tune these things. Whether they are not taking over, what else is missing? If they're taking over, what role can they really play to make sure we have credible elections? Even though INEC's own elections may not be credible. But Wisdom would like to thank you for coming on the show this morning. It's always a pleasure. Yes, we're thankful that you're here today. Well, we've been talking with Wisdom Chap Jumbo, public affairs analyst. We were looking at Rivers State election and the entire political atmosphere in Rivers State. We do hope it will get to that time where we obey the law and keep the law and make sure that we are guided by the law so that it doesn't lead to anarchy. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll be looking at the fact that Lagos State is planning to yet again ban single-use plastics, sachet water by January 2025. It started with the plates that we were using to, I would call them takeaways in Nigeria. Now they're getting to something else. So let's see how that goes.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you don't talk, they go beat you. Now 2,500 and they pay.
Thanks for staying with us. The Lagos State government plans to ban the circulation of single-use plastics, SUPs, including sachet water, starting in January 2025. This was confirmed by the Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, at a stakeholders workshop as part of efforts to implement sustainable plastic waste management and promote a healthy environment. Stakeholders, however, urged the government to phase in the ban gradually, considering the current economic difficulties. Mosaku Ololade, Lagos chairperson of the Association for Table Water Producers of Nigeria, emphasized the need for phased implementation to allow over 2,000 members and 10,000 workers to comply effectively. With me this morning is Mr. Nick Agule, a public affairs analyst. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Yangu, and good morning to our viewers globally.
Okay, it started with the plates. This is now entering the water, and that is because they want to control the way plastic is used in Nigeria. Lagos state government wants to ban sachet water. In one of the reports that I read, they even said the PET bottles are part of this move, so that they are going to ban the PET bottles usage. They are going to ban the sachet water or the sachets in circulation and all that. So I don't know what your take is right now. Let me hear your views.
Thank you very much for that question. So the move by the Lagos state government overall is a good move, because just like governments elsewhere, people are becoming more conscious of the environment, and it is good that that happens, because the environment is our neighbor. We live with the environment, and when we mishandle, the environment gets angry and gets back at us. And we have seen that happen in many places, even here in Nigeria. So if a government takes the step to ensure that we're caring for the environment and we are not provoking the environment to react violently against us, it is the duty of government to safeguard lives and property. That will be okay. But what I find not okay with this approach is, it looks as if the Lagos state government is trying to rush through this. And that is going to be a problem. Because let us not forget, there are businesses and livelihoods that depend on the industry that uses these single-use plastic products. And there has to be a transition period that will enable these businesses to seamlessly move from the current practice to the new practice without having any adverse implications on the businesses that they run. And even I was reading the story in the link that was sent across, and I realized that even the Lagos state government has not even put in place the legal framework for this to happen. So I wonder why they are rushing to give a date of January, which is basically like 3 months away. Because if the legislation will need to be done right and follows through the legal drafting processes in the State House of Assembly, including public hearing and stakeholder engagement, up to the time that the governor will sign that bill into law, that alone should take 3 months. Then not to talk about now businesses, we need to understand what the legislation expects of them. Then they have to now rejig their operational capacities to be able to meet up with the law. So I would suggest that a timeline of 1 year, instead of talking about 2025 January, they should be looking at 2026 January to bring this law into effect. And also, I can give an example of the UK government. They are not yet on an outright ban, but they are in a transition. So one of the things they have done is that they decided that shops should no longer give out plastic bags free of charge. So if you want to take a plastic bag now from a shop, they charge you. But then shops are also using reusable bags. They have reusable bags. They have, which they even are selling. But for consumers, they look at it and say, if each time I go to the shop to pick a plastic bag, I pay for it, then it is better for me to pay money and have a reusable bag, which I can now be using to go to shop and do that. And those are the kind of considerations that Lagos State government should have. And also, this shouldn't just be about Lagos State government alone. It's not only in Lagos State that this pollution is happening. All other states need to also catch on this. And possibly, there should be an overarching law at the national that states can then domesticate so that we can save our environment and live peacefully with it.
Okay, but I don't know, sometimes when we make the laws, I don't know if we shouldn't be considering the reality on ground. Well, government, the Lagos State government banned Okada, as we call them, and they got away with it. I don't know how much time they took to put the law in place, if there's a law that was put in place. I don't know how they fine-tuned it and what they considered before they banned this thing. So far, it's been so many months gone. Nothing happened, and we're adjusting to it because Nigerians are very good at adjusting to whatever happens to us. They banned the styrofoam too a few months ago in 2023 or so, or early 2024, and then nothing happened. I don't know how much time they had before they did that. Nothing happened. Now they're talking about banning even the PET bottles, pure water, and all that, or that's how we call it, the sachet water. Now, if you ban this in a Lagos with a lot of traffic, in a Lagos with a lot of population of people who, some of them don't even go back to their houses for a very, very long time, will the consideration of these people not be put will these people not be put into consideration before they make a law? What are the alternatives provided for these people? You are in traffic now. How do you get water to drink? You are living almost in a public place because some of them actually don't have houses to go back to. Some of them have to hustle so much so that they cannot even go back to their houses because they have to sell all the time, 24/7 and all that. How will these people survive when this very good law comes into effect and people cannot buy PET bottles of water or sachet water anymore?
It's going to be very difficult for the businesses and the operators and in the entire value chain, including suppliers into the factories, the water factories.
And the consumers as well, especially the consumers. That's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, those who distribute the water, and then those who actually sell the water, who retail the water, and those who drink the water. That whole value chain is going to be affected if this is not taken on in a systematic way. That will be a win-win for everybody. And that's why it's very important for the Lagos State government to actually engage with the stakeholders in these businesses. Let them get these people around the table. Let them understand the peculiarities of their businesses so that a timeline is agreed between the government and those who will be directly affected by this new law. So that with that timeline, everybody knows what their responsibilities are and they know what needs to be done so that they can be compliant at the end of the time. Because this thing is going to require money as well to be able to comply with this regulation. So it's going to require money, and the details of what needs to be complied with are not there if the law is not yet there. So it's good that the government has made an announcement to bring the minds of the people to what is happening. But the implementation needs to be done in a very systematic way so that there are no pains, no additional injuries caused to businesses that are already struggling with the economy as it stands now.
So if they were to provide alternatives, what are they going to do? Because like I raised the concern, people need to drink water. So what are they going to do? We don't even have pipe-borne water in this country. There's nothing like a public tap that you can go get this water. There is no provision for that. And so people drink this sachet water. People drink from the PET bottles and all that. If it is banned, what now happens? You go to a restaurant and you're given water in cup. How will they regulate how good that water is? because sometimes we know that at least these PET bottles, bottled water and the sachet water, at least it comes through a process, even though it is not very, it's not 100%, especially for the sachet water. At least it comes through a process and makes it a bit safer. Now you go to a place and you want to eat, you get water to drink. There is no guarantee that the water they're going to serve you in a glass is clean enough, is good enough, healthy enough in Nigeria that we know. And what are the alternatives that they need to provide to make sure that people don't die as a result of government trying to make the place clean?
There are alternatives. There are packagings that are recyclable, so long as the material is recyclable, that can be used to package. So if you go to elsewhere now, you will see that things like milk that used to be packaged in plastic bottles and all of that is now repackaged in recyclable materials. So long as the material can be recycled, it's fine. The problem is plastic materials that cannot be recycled, that can then damage the environment. So that is one side, that there are recyclable materials that can be used. But on the other hand, even with the plastic bottles, we can now, and that's also a duty of the government, to provide waste bins around the cities. If you go to other cities around the world, at every point there are waste bins installed by the government where people are expected to trash whatever that they have that they want to trash. And then laws are made about littering. You know, so if you don't put your trash into the waste bin, but drop it on the ground, you have littered. And there is a law that can get you on that. And you know, there are cities around the world, wherever you go, they are heavily policed with CCTV cameras and all of that. So there is work here to be done by the government as well. And the government, in its enforcement, should provide the enabling environment for citizens to comply with this kind of laws. You know, if they provide the waste basket and make it easy for people to then dispose of their waste, and also go on a public education to try and encourage people to do this, and then put an enforcement in place so that those who don't comply are duly picked up, and then the consequence management is visited on them. So it's not just about businesses alone that should be made to bear the brunt. The government also has its own role to play, and civil society has its own role to play, and the citizens have their own role to play. And this is why a public consultation needs to happen by the Lagos State government. You know, because in the link that I read, I could see that the Association of Water Producers in Lagos, they seem to be left out of this decision making, and they are pleading for the government to consider them, that they have 2,000 members, that is 2,000 different water producers on their register that are employing up to 10,000 people, you know, so that's a lot of employment that will be imperiled if this is not handled well. And then imagine that we don't have people producing water again. How is that going to happen? And of course, then on the other side of it, on the other side of the coin, if you go to most public buildings elsewhere, you have water fountains that have been installed there. You know, for staff and visitors and those who are coming to the place, they are able to drink water from the fountains with disposable and recyclable cups, you know, so that if a lot of people are drinking water in their offices and all of that with recyclable cups, then of course that would take the pressure off those who are buying sachet water and all of that. But again, citizens can also help the situation by buying water jugs. You know, water jugs that are recyclable, reusable. You buy your water jug reusable. When you are leaving your home in the morning, you rinse it properly, yeah, and then you put water inside. And you have your water jug with you, so that if you are
water from where? That's the question. Water from where? We don't even have potable water. Mr. Agule, I wish we had more time, but People in Nigeria don't even have potable water. It's the water they buy from outside that they can trust. No household in at least 80% of the households in Nigeria do not have water that they can drink from the tap. So they cannot collect in these water jugs to come. They will need water that is clean enough. And if this is stopped, we don't know how we are going to be getting this, except we are going to go back to the time where we were using tanker to provide water for the people. And how do you trust this water? But we'll have to drop it here for today. I think this is an ongoing conversation. This discussion was not held with stakeholders. Now the stakeholders are just begging them for more time. And I wish our government gets to the point where before you make a decision, you will ask the people that it's going to impact first before you do that. But we cannot continue, unfortunately, this morning. And would like to thank you.
If you give me 30 seconds, I will respond to say that.
Try, yes.
In the short term, people, there are these bigger water containers. People can buy those ones and then be using that to retain into their water bottles. But then you have raised a very big point, which governments need to understand. Nigeria is replete with water bodies, fresh water bodies all over the place. And it is unfortunate that up till now, governments have not been tapping from this water, purifying it and supplying it to citizens. And this is the role of subnational government, state government and local government. They should get into this. How can people not have water when water is flowing all over the people? So that is another thing that also needs to happen. So a lot needs to happen. Even the Lagos state government should make sure that there's pipe-borne water in every home.
Yeah.
So that people, they sachet water or
will not
water.
Be there. Thank you very much, Nick Agule, for coming on the show and sharing your thoughts with us.
I thank you very much, and a nice day to all our viewers.
Yeah, same to you. Okay, we've been talking with Mr. Nick Agule, public affairs analyst. We were looking at the decision of Lagos State government to ban sachet water, plastic bottled water, and all those kind of things for the safety of the environment. That's an ongoing discussion that I'm sure that we'll have a part 2 some other time. But in the meantime, this is where we draw the curtain on the show this morning. Thank you for being there for us. My name is Nyamgul Agaji.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, then go beat you. Now 2,500 when they pay.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on Plus TV Africa.
For me, I wanted to change that culture. I didn't believe that until you see a white man or you see a foreigner in the kitchen before you can believe that, good food is going to come out of that kitchen.
You can leverage on each other's spaces and, sell.
we believe in Nigeria, right? We believe that Nigeria can get better. We, the youth, are the ones that can make it better.
And my products are proudly made in Nigeria.
Made in Nigeria, showing every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. and repeats on Saturday at 8:30 a.m.
You're in a queue, for example, and you go to some places or some countries and the queue is the queue. You have to join from the back, right? And that's conducive because, hey, I was here before you, makes sense. But then you find some people that they just don't have the time and everybody is in a hurry and they jump to the front stylishly and feel they will get away with it. Sometimes some people just don't want trouble and they just leave you with your, you know, your actions. But then you will find in some places where people don't like it, they don't condone it, and they will call you out. Excuse me, the queue is at the back. We need to see more of that nowadays.
You've probably experienced a scenario like this. You're waiting in line for a service or to buy something, and someone who sees the long queue comes along and goes straight to the front of the line, completely disregarding everyone standing. In most cases, some people on the queue will speak up, but some will look on with
Hello and welcome. My name is Nyamgu. Governor Siminalayi Fubara has sworn in 23 newly elected local government chairmen in Rivers State. The exercise held at the Executive Council chambers of the Government House in Port Harcourt, the state capital, on Sunday. And it comes a day after the Rivers State Independent National Electoral Commission, RISEC, conducted an election at the grassroots. The event was attended by Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed, who is also the chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP Governors Forum. The governor expressed joy at the success of the local government election, saying it takes the help of God to survive the past few days. Fubara, who assured Mohammed that he is still a member of the PDP, however, said that a desperate situation requires desperate action. According to him, what his administration did with the support of the people was to salvage the local government councils. He said he would not go in the ways of his opponent by being confrontational to protect the assets of the state and cause a breakdown of law and order. He advised the new chairmen to see themselves as servants and not emperors. He also said the local government areas need development and charged them to work for the people who are the real political structure. Earlier on Sunday, RCEG issued certificates of return to the newly elected local government chairmen. There is currently no end in sight to the political crisis rocking Rivers State. This is as the local government election conducted by the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission, RCEG, has apparently triggered more crisis in the state. Despite opposition from the loyalist of Nyesom Wike, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, the election was conducted on Saturday as directed by Governor Siminalayi Fubara. Wike's loyalists in the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and a faction of the All Progressive Congress, APC, had vowed to boycott the election, citing a judgment by the Federal High Court in Abuja. Independent National Electoral Commission from releasing the voter register to RCEG for the conduct of the election. Justice Lifu also barred the Inspector General of Police and the Department of State Services, DSS, from providing security for the polls. However, the APC on Saturday night rubbished the election and its outcome, insisting that there was no election held in the state. The APC Publicity Secretary in Rivers State, Ikenga Chibike, said the judgment of the Federal High Court stands, describing the just concluded election as a mirage, saying it was a cooked-up result. He said the party decided to boycott the election to obey the judgment from the Federal High Court, which barred the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission, RCEG, the Nigeria Police, the Department of State Services, DSS, and the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, from going ahead with the election. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar on Sunday hailed the just concluded local government election in Rivers State, saying the electorate is resolute in rejecting oppression. After a tense election, the Action People's Party, APP, swept 22 of the 23 local governments in the state, while the Action Alliance, AA, won Eche. With the conclusion of the the local government election in Rivers State, the shadow of political intimidation and judicial chicanery have dissipated, paving the way for noble pursuit of governance to commence in the state. Reacting to the outcome, Atiku commended the people of the oil-rich state for their steadfastness in the face of adversity, courageously ensuring that the election unfolded with peace and integrity. The political intimidation and judicial manipulation that had been present during the Rivers State local government election have now faded, allowing the state to begin their admirable endeavor of governing. Atiku expressed his gratitude to the people of the oil-rich state for their steadfastness in the face of adversity, courageously ensuring that the election unfolded with peace and integrity in response to the results. Now, Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria, HURIWA, has expressed deep concern over the increasing issuance of frivolous court orders and ex parte injunctions by judges, particularly in politically sensitive cases. The group cited the ongoing political crisis in Rivers State as an example. HURIWA urged the National Judicial Council, NJC, to immediately sanction the judicial officers involved in the actions, warning that such practices could jeopardize Nigeria's constitutional democracy. HURIWA said this mirrors Nigeria's troubled political history and threatens the stability of its democratic process. In recent weeks, Rivers State has seen a legal battle with judges from federal high courts in Abuja issuing restraining orders that appear to destabilize the duly elected administration in the state. HURIWA highlighted that many of these orders were tainted by allegations of bribery, which, according to the group, further eroded public trust in the judiciary. HURIWA's national coordinator, Comrade Emmanuel Onwubiko, in a statement, warned that the judiciary was at risk of becoming a tool for political manipulation, with corrupt judges contributing to the erosion of democratic order. HURIWA also urged the NJC to establish mechanisms to monitor the issuance of ex parte and restraining orders in politically charged cases. In the meantime, Chairman of Rivers State Independent Electoral Commissioner RCEC, Justice Adolphus Enebeli, has declared results of 22 chairmanship candidates of the Action People's Party, APP, as winners of the 5th October 2024 local government elections. The candidates so declared, he said, after collation of their results, had scored the majority of valid votes cast in the election in 2/3 of their respective wards in the 22 local government areas. Justice Enebeli explained that the result of the chairmanship position for a chair local government area was stood down by the Commission because of its expansive landscape with its 19 wards, which slowed down the collation process. Justice Enebeli, who is also the Chief Electoral Commissioner for the election, declared the results in Port Harcourt on Saturday evening. Some political parties and observers commended RCEC for their conduct of the election. RCEC chairman stated that the election was conducted in all the 6,866 units in the 319 political wards, with 18 out of 19 political parties participating. Correspondent reports that the results declaration was witnessed by members of the Inter-Party Advisory Council from 18 local political parties, leaders of Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, civil society groups, returning officers, newsmen, and other key stakeholders.
Based on our observation, coupled with what Mr. Chairman has just declared, there is no gain stressing the fact that this election conducted today is transparent and is credible. This result resonates the decision of the electorate in Rivers State to affirm their democratic rights. And it goes to say that democracy has come to stay.
The local government elections, a number of us were in the field. We also had our members in the field, and we received reports from them accordingly. And of course, the general view is, from our observation, that the election was largely peaceful. People came out to vote, and we can indeed say that there truly was an electoral exercise in Rivers State.
The People's Democratic Party in Akwa Ibom State has won 30 chairmanship seats, leaving the All Progressive Congress with 1 seat. This was contained in a list signed by the chairman of the Akwa Ibom State Independent Electoral Commission, Anyediabasi Ikowak, on Sunday. Meanwhile, Governor Omoino has announced plans to swear in the elected chairman on Monday, October 7, 2024. This followed moves by Akisiek to issue certificates of return to all the elected chairmen of the councils on Sunday. Eno, who made this known while speaking at the All Nations Christian Ministry in Eket, said it was important to immediately inaugurate the democratically elected officials to position local government area in the state for rapid development. He said election was conducted and results were trickling in, and that they are swearing in new chairmen by 9 a.m. today. And he wants to thank those who have served. The All Progressive Congress APC has been declared the victor of all 23 local government chairmanship posts and all 276 councillorship seats in the recently ended local government polls, which were held on Saturday, October 5, 2024 by the Benue State Independent Electoral Commission, BCEC. The announcement was made by Chairman Barrister Telumum Tombowa at the BCEC headquarters in Makurdi, Benue North Central, Nigeria. He stated that the exercise was transparent, peaceful and quiet, and that it was deemed to be the most credible, free and fair in Benue State's history. At 2 p.m., the winners of the Local Government Council Chairman competition would get a certificate of return according to the chairman. The chairman Inter-Party Advisory Committee, IPAC, Comrade Otene Idoko, commended Benue State Independent Electoral Commission, BCEC, for conducting credible polls in the state since inception of the democracy, and in the spirit of sportsmanship congratulated APC for overwhelming victory. The State APC Caretaker Committee Chairman Dr. Benjamin Omale expressed satisfaction with the outcome of the election and commended Benue State Independent Electoral Commission for conducting an acceptable election, while thanking Governor Hyacinth Alia and leader of the party in the state for providing the necessary support to the party, which is said led to the victory of the party at the just concluded local government polls.
And this fight that participated in the election are the APC, APGA, Labour Party, PDP, and SDP. So in summary, out of the 23 local government elections, chairmanship that were contested, APC won all the 23 seats in Benue State. Out of the 276 councillorship elections that were conducted in 276 council votes in Benue State, APC probably won all the councillors.
As a Labour Party chairman, we also participated in the 10 local government. I'm speaking as a Labour Party chairman now. We are going to look at the results. I'm going to consult with my people, and we are going to come out with a clear statement on the outcome of the election. But for now, I just want to thank everybody that participated, and let me also, in the spirit of good sportsmanship, let me congratulate the APC.
You can also attest that other parties also testify that this is one of the best elections as ever conducted in the history of Benue State. And to the people, they are going to be happy because there are peoples who Benue State have spoken, and they've spoken to the people's governor. And the people's governor has also demonstrated through his capacity the good work he has done in Benue State. So the mandate has gone to the people, and the people has given the mandate to the governor.
Abdul Mumuni Abiola, one of the sons of the late MKO Abiola, has vowed never to forgive his elder brother Kola. He accused Kola of refusing to give Abiola's children their inheritance despite carrying out blood tests. Abdul Mumuni said Abiola willed £650,000 to his first 4 wives, but Kola refused to release the money to them. Featuring on the Mike On podcast hosted by Sheun Okimbo Baloye on Saturday, Abdul Mumuni said the family did blood tests and had a list of qualifying children, revealing that his mom, Kudirat Abiola, was number 2 and was apportioned 150,000 pounds rather. At the time, according to Abdul Mumuni, Kola had cited the fact that Kudirat died before their father, and because of that, British law would not allow him to release the 150,000 pounds to her children. Kola, according to Abdul Mumuni, also said that his mom, too, is dead and he didn't get the $300,000 for his mother, even though he was the one sharing the money. Abdul Mumuni also accused Kola of selling their mom's house in the UK without telling any of Kudirat's children. In another development, amidst the harsh economic policies of government that is biting hard on Nigerians, leading to hunger and poverty, the Rotary Club of Ota is calling on Nigerians to keep calm and hope alive for a better tomorrow. This follows the interventions made by the humanitarian group, which includes an outreach program to an orphanage home, renovation of schools, provisions of toilets, and youth empowerment to residents of Ota, Ogun State. Speaking to newsmen during the official visit of Rotary District Governor 9110 to Ota, the host president, Ambassador Jackie Kasim, said the gesture became imperative as part of core mandate of Rotary Club to better the lives of the unreached and less privileged. On his part, Rotary District Governor 9110, Dr. Wole Kukoyi, expressed delight in the humanitarian services rendered to the beneficiary communities. Speaking further, Dr. Kasim said the group is concerned about the plight of Nigerians but won't hesitate to contribute its quota to the growth of the society. She, however, said the group will move towards adopting some of the children visited at the orphanage homes in a bid to become better and have a secured future.
I said, well, we all know Ijamido. Let us come here as well, see other children and see how well they are taken care of and the kind of things they do. They do a lot of handwork and all that. They are the ones that made this fish, you know. And I hope by the grace of God, now that you've known them, some of you will have children here as well. Because what I'm trying to do is to allocate children to each person so that you will know you have a child here.
Professor Epiphany Azinge, the new Ashagba of Asaba, has pledged to significantly impact the town's well-being by preserving its tradition and culture. He plans to leverage his traditional status to attract infrastructural development, including a federal university. Azinge assured that no one in his domain will be marginalized and urges other contenders to work with him for the unity and development of the community. His coronation ceremony was attended by Kingmaker Chief Ubaka Ato.
As the pictures displayed, this is the symbol of the Asaba that the Asaba community gave to Asaba Professor Joseph Chike Edozie 33 years ago to remain by his side throughout his reign, to remind him of the sacred oath to defend his community. Today, we wish to return this symbol to the Asaba community, represented by the same only Ahaba who gave it to my father, as a symbol of the sacred authority and ancient authority of the Asaba ships too.
We move now to other parts of Africa. Thousands of demonstrators filled the streets of Ghana's capital calling for an end to illegal mining in the country, also known as Galamsey. Some in the crowd insisted that they would continue to pressure the government until it addresses the issue and its damaging impact on the environment. Unlike a previous demonstration in September organized by pressure group Democracy Hub, police did not interfere with the protests that took place from Thursday to Saturday. Determined to push the government to take action, the Catholic Church is gearing up for a peaceful demonstration against illegal mining on Friday, while the country's labor unions are set to declare a nationwide strike on Thursday. Protesters were also urging the government to free those who were arrested during a previous demonstration against illegal mining organized by Democracy Hub.
My motivation is to see that illegal mining stops in Ghana. We need to keep taking action. We need to keep going on strikes. We need to keep protesting to catch their attention, because they're acting like they haven't seen, but we know they have.
The leaders can stop this very moment, but they are feeling reluctant to do that. It's not right. I don't know what they are waiting for. But what they are supposed to do is ban it now. They can make it a temporary ban. We don't care. All we want is just make sure the forests are reserved well. All they have to do is just match the soldiers there and stop Galamsey. That's all.
This attitude of the government is not surprising because we've heard some of the members of government say blatantly that they are not stopping now, they are not stopping anytime now. All it means is that it affirms the stance, and the president who went to beg labor union, the labor union needs to understand this, that the life of Ghanaians and they themselves is threatened by this illegal activity. We say stop Galamsey and free the citizens now.
In business news, in a significant push towards enhancing agricultural productivity and self-sufficiency in Nigeria, an agribusiness expert and pineapple farmer, Segun Alabi, has called on governments at all levels to create an enabling environment for pineapple farming to thrive in Nigeria. Speaking during the allocation of pineapple farm to 200 farmers in Agbo-Iwoye, Ogun State, the agri-expert said the vast potential of the pineapple farming value chain, which extends beyond food production to include biofuel, renewable energy, and even products like clothing and shoes. He stressed that Nigeria has the potential to become a top exporter of pineapple despite being ranked as the 8th largest pineapple producer globally. The farmer also said with the zeal to empower 50,000 farmers in 5 years, Nigeria will benefit immensely from its outcome.
Our dream is to make Nigeria exporter of pineapple. Currently, Nigeria is the 8th largest producer of pineapple in the world. Yet, we are still importing pineapple because we could not serve the demand for pineapple even in our country. And we want to solve that problem by empowering 50,000 Nigeria with 50,000 hectares of pineapple farm within the next 5 years. This will solve problem of unemployment. This will increase our forex, because when we are producing more than what we can consume, then we can export and generate forex for the nation. My call to the government of the day in embracing pineapple production is to give us enabling environment where a company can thrive. It's just for government to give us enabling environment, and whichever way they can support us in terms of grant, of loan, it is appreciable and it's something that we can welcome.
Speaking further, Alabi taxed youths on nation building rather than seeking validation outside the country. He noted that the opportunities inherent in Nigeria is enormous. The young farmer also advocated for collaborations with government agencies towards meeting the needs of Nigerians.
My word to the youth who want to japa is for them to japada, because if you are looking for a green pasture somewhere, there's somebody behind the scene that is watering that land, why it makes it greenish. So what we have in Nigeria, we have the best land, we have the best crop. In fact, Nigeria is the greatest of the country in any is the greatest country in the world. Why do I say so? If you are passing through now and you drop something, you drop a seed of tomato, it will grow. We have good land. When we are talking about manpower, we have it. We have the highest, the highest black race in the world. Why? Because we have the power. We have everything that can make Nigeria great. So why do you want to run away? And when you get there, is that you are doing labor, you are doing factory worker, and then you are even suffering and smiling. No matter what you think you are getting over there, you can get much more in Nigeria. And that's why we are telling the government that please create enabling environment so that our people that is japa, they can japada.
We'll move now to entertainment news. His Imperial Majesty Oba Gandhi Afolabi Olaoye, the son of Ogbomosho land, says the upcoming Ogbomosho Cradles Carnival, scheduled for December, aims to promote unity and enhance economic development. The son made this announcement during a fundraising event held in Lagos in preparation for the inaugural edition of the carnival. Details in this report.
The Seun of Ogbomosho land makes a grand entrance, greeted by the cheers of everyone gathered. The atmosphere is calm and inviting.
The chairman of the Ogbomoso Carnival Committee, Prince William Adeleye, warmly welcomes it will highlight the rich cultural heritage of the people while also promoting the land as a tourist hotspot.
This initiative is designed to foster unity and stimulate economic growth within Ogbomoso land. The Ogbomoso Produce Carnival aims not only to showcase our rich cultural heritage, but also to position Ogbomoso land as a preferred destination for tourists and investors across various sectors, including agriculture and food production, real estate, information and communication technology, and manufacturing.
The Shong subsequently elaborates on the origin of the initiative's concept. He explains that the event serves as a dual purpose for the community, providing both entertainment and fostering commercial growth.
So what I'm basically saying is that Ogbomoso people, one way or the other, they love their town. But now, how will they continuously come to this town? So that's the issue where this cultural week-long program, that's where it comes from. That's, let's have an entertainment that will let the people want to come. And that's where we started to think about what time of the year Lana to share again. So Christmas is a festive period for both Muslim, Christian, and everything. Every time towards the end of the year, that Christmas period is always a time when people come. That's when they get a lot of, they have their vacation, they have a lot of things that they want to go back home.
For us in the committee, we know that Ogbomoso land is blessed with rich cultural heritage. And then we have, it's mainly an agrarian community. Talk about the cashew that is grown in Ogbomoso. It's very, very unique. And we need a lot of agri-allied industry to come to the town, to be able to harness the agricultural potential.
With the fundraiser in full force and the committee aiming to raise 300 million naira, the Shong is confident that the annual carnival will continue to improve over time, bringing increased prosperity to the local community.
And that's the news brief. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. You can also view us on Limex.tv and Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. My name is Nyamgul Agaji. Thank you for being there.
I will take you through this amazingness today.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
It is not the hope of this feature to blame anyone for the never-ending tension between police and the citizens. However, it is certain that there is always a tension with most people when they approach a police checkpoint. Many factors are responsible for this tension, including not knowing what to expect or do, seeing the police as the enemy, or even being guilty of an infraction. Many issues that go wrong at a police checkpoint can be linked to lack of proper communication and understanding on the side of the police force and also on the side of the citizen. Here are some tips listed by the police force about comporting yourself at a police checkpoint. Endeavor to slow down your vehicle. It shows that you're not reckless. It also douses suspicion that you're a criminal and may want to speed off. Turn down the volume of your car stereo. Courtesy demands this. Besides, you are able to hear each other better. This simple act will help you win the confidence of the security operative.
The federal government has confirmed that the sale of crude oil to local refiners in Naira has commenced, raising expectations of lower fuel costs for Nigerians. However, experts have expressed mixed feelings, cautioning Nigerians not to become optimistic. The Minister of Finance and Coordinator Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, shared the news about the commencement of crude oil sale in Naira in a statement. Now, this move was part of President Bola Tinubu's directive to sell crude oil to Dangote in Naira. To reduce the cost of premium motor spirit commonly known, there had been dispute between the Dangote Group and Nigeria's petroleum regulators over the control of the downstream petroleum market. In June, the Dangote Group accused several international oil companies of undermining the plant operations by either withholding crude oil or providing it at inflated premiums compared to market prices. Additionally, there have been clashes with regulators, including the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Regulatory Authority, which claimed that diesel from the Dangote refinery contained sulfur levels exceeding the permissible limit. Now, the regulators also accused Dangote of attempting to establish a monopoly. Despite these challenges, Nigerians are greeting the news of crude oil sales in Naira with cautious optimism. Now, separately, the federal government has announced that 63 items have been exempted from value-added tax. Now, this comes 2 days after the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edu, announced the introduction of concessions aimed at revitalizing the oil and gas industry to ensure a boost in Nigeria's upstream and downstream sectors. We'll keep our eye on this recent development and more. Welcome to Business Insight on Plus TV Africa. I am Justin Akadonye. Now, before we get into the conversation proper, businesses are often overly focused on growth, while experts subject entrepreneurs to burdensome audits to ensure the health of their ventures. This issue was discussed on the sidelines of the Lim Simple Strategy Growth Conference held in Lagos. Details now.
Not conducting regular health checks on business can have severe consequences, which can lead it to lag behind the competition instead of dominating. At this conference, the focus is on getting useful strategies to ensure a healthy business and growth. Author and entrepreneur Ezekiel Solisi, who wants participants not only to network or get inspired, believes an understanding of the macroeconomy as well as strategy is paramount.
For example, what happens is that most people think about business growth and they're really thinking about, oh, growth at any cost is good. But cancer is growth. Right? You could grow to death. The idea here is to make sure that as we're growing, we're positioning, we're auditing, we're making sure that we're actually healthy.
With 70% of entrepreneurs developing from the street, there is need for caution. As experts say, their survival can be measured after they have survived 10 years.
The guide for any businessman, knowing very well that no matter what you do, no matter how much you have, how much you have in your bank account, you must have the 10-year strategy in mind. 5 years, 90% of the business that start would die, and then the 10 that survives will go through another 5 years, and then 90% of the 10 will also die. That means 100 businesses that start, only one will survive after 10 years.
The first thing is the mindset to know that whatever happens in the economy, your business can thrive. And then the second thing is to go out there and find the knowledge, find the strategy, and be courageous enough to execute on whatever issue found.
As some businesses gasp for survival, other strategists advise entrepreneurs to have a successor plan while envisioning the future of their ventures.
What is your plan for that business? So I think that it's important that people begin to think about it long term. Yes, sometimes we're looking at the situation, and then there's this mentality of founder, owner, chairman. You know, I want to be the founder. You can still be the founder, but not necessarily run the business. So some doctors, you know, you could be a doctor, you are a surgeon. Doesn't mean you have what it takes to run a hospital. You must have an administrator.
First of all, look at the areas you faulted or the areas you didn't do well. That is where to start from. Build on those ones and upgrade. Then the ones that are already working, those ones are just to water, more like give it a breath of life, and you know it will keep growing. And this is where the healthy business comes in.
Every business has an evolution time with different demands for different places. However, to achieve results, experts say it has to look at execution of key priorities, including building capacities and individual effectiveness of their team.
Your job is to be able to think and strategize.
Now, in the wake of all of this, the federal government has revealed plans to create 1 million jobs as a way of tackling youth unemployment across all the 774 local government areas of the country. Announcing this in Abuja, the Minister of State for Youth Development, Comrade Ayodele Olawande, said the federal government is determined to educate, inspire, and connect Nigerian youth to careers and opportunities in the insurance sector using the power of digital technology. Now, the minister added that the federal government is committed to increasing youth participation in the insurance sector to create jobs and enhance financial inclusion. Now, international finance and economic expert Mukhtar Mohammed joins me now for more conversation on these issues. Good morning to you, Mukhtar. Mukhtar, can you hear me?
Good morning.
Yes.
Good morning. I can hear you. Good morning.
All right, good morning. Let's start with this Naira for crude. I think it's a welcome development in as much as Nigerians have been waiting since October 1st for the formal kickoff. But then the federal government announced that it has actually kicked off selling crude oil in Naira to Dangote and other refiners in the country. First off, what's your take on this new development? Would it actually bring down the so much demand for dollar in the country, in your opinion?
Yes, it could bring down so much demand on dollar, Justin, if the data that we got is anything to go by. The data from CBN says that 40% of our FX pressure, normally for those that are trying to import refined pressure on the Naira, you know, when 40% is reduced in terms of pressure, that is very huge. So hopefully that will bring the pressure of the Naira. For me, yes, that could help us in the short term to stabilize the currency, and in the long term to continue to maintain stability. But you also have to know that this will also come with a cost, and that cost might just be our FX reserve, because that may won't have more effects from sale of crude oil if some of those crude oils are not being purchased in Naira. But the good thing is because now we heard last week we've agreed with OPEC to 1.5 million barrel per day in terms of OPEC production, which is good. Remember that we've not been able to even meet the 1.7 the government budgeted. So if we're able to improve production, then that also will help our FX reserve, and that will also improve our liquidity. And we also have to remember that the amount that will be supplied into Dangote refinery is not part of the 1.5 million crude oil liter, because that will be done locally. So with the game changer whereby we can benefit in the long run and in the short run is to improve production.
Well, speaking of improved production, but what Nigerians really want to know will be the pump price of petrol. You know, with this
hopefully before the end of this year, Port Harcourt refinery will come on stream, Warri refinery will come on stream. So that also could help, because competition will normally drive down prices. And also, don't forget that there are also some other companies that are involved in building of refineries also. So, but again, this policy for now, it seems it will only favor Dangote, because Dangote is the only refinery in Nigeria at this moment that is involved in low carbs and maybe in diesel, aviation, and that. So in terms of PMA, it's only Dangote, so it will favor them. Remember that with by Mr. President, if you listen to Mr. President's speech when he made it, said it will come with a fixed exchange rate. Now that means it will not be the normal willing buyer, willing seller. It will not be the exchange rate that will be fluctuating. It will be fixed for a particular time. And so hopefully we've not gotten the information on what that rate is, how much is that exchange rate, even if the Dangote is going to be, what is the exchange rate? So that is the determining factor that will determine the price, because what we will see, you have to look at that exchange rate and via the economic of importation. Remember that according to NNPC, it said people are still free to import, and even them NNPC say they may also decide to import, and that what it means is that if it's cheaper to import, they also will continue to import, and that also could be a competition for Dangote. And so I think it's going to be a win-win for Nigeria, but in the short term, I think what we should be more looking for is availability first. And I think when those exchange rate comes in, even if it comes in, that competition comes in price. But for now, I think some know the exchange rate. We are waiting. It's just an official statement now selling crude for Naira for local refinery. but that statement did not come with what is the exchange they are using. So hopefully the exchange rate will not be 1,600. Could be the real value of the naira, which is with as it stands now. We keep if that is what is happening, then the cost of PMS will come down. But if it's via the normal official market, willing buyer, willing sellers, then a reduction in terms of price. And you know that like I normally say, Nigeria economy is a petrol economy. So if we maintain availability and then see the price come down, then definitely.
Okay, but generally you will agree as we build up with this new development, right? A
lot of investors. Finally, the PIA bill is finally working. So, and it's going to bring more competitors into the market, like I said. Some independent marketers are saying that they will also it's cheaper for them. So we are going to see a lot of, don't be surprised when you begin to see major companies